Brainstorm.
Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet.
Good day,
Ooh, I
Internet.
hear myself. That's going to be a problem.
Well, you can select output and you can get it to mute itself.
Okay.
So don't adjust the output volume. Just
mute it.
Yeah, you should be able to mute it.
Ooh, where would that be?
Or you could just turn off the. Let's see.
It's not a deal breaker, but it's very weird.
You click off at the top of your audio output device.
I see that.
Just click off and it should still be going to the recorder.
Derp. Got it.
Yep.
Man, Audio Hijack is way cooler than I thought it was. I've used it for a year.
It's definitely. Hello, Internet. Sorry, we were
good tech support. Strong type broadcast.
The teamwork.
Scott, how are you?
Fantastic. Doing great. You?
Oh, now I can't hear any of you guys.
Oh,
you can't. Oh, well, yeah. So,
how will she know how fantastic I'm doing?
You know, you might have to turn that back on. So turn that back on. See if this. You know what? Turn down the volume. Just turn on the volume. Screw it. Does it work? Yes, it still works. Turn down the volume.
If I turn it off, I can't hear anyone.
Oh,
so I can't do that.
She'll never know how I'm doing, Roger.
I know. I still don't know. I saw your mouth moving. You seem chipper.
I'm in a great mood. That's all you need to know. I'm all good.
Yeah, I have to figure that out. But yeah, how's everyone doing? Food.
Food.
I
ate some food.
I should have eaten before we came on.
I ate. I'm somewhat embarrassed to admit. I actually ate those. I went to the discount grocery store, the grocery outlet, and I bought a frozen 2-pack of those French bread pizza thingies.
I love those.
They're like Stofers, but it's like by Red Baron or something.
Yep.
I don't think that was the best purchase I've made recently in regards to consumable items.
I don't know if they're very healthy, but I really like them.
I think I've eaten enough salt to fill the daily requirement for an elephant.
I performed a wedding this week, and the people whose wedding it was are from Britain and New Zealand, and they brought me these classic lemon drizzle melts from the UK, and they're
nice.
Yeah.
Wait, so what did the people from New Zealand get you?
A hard
time.
They were a package deal, so it was all sort of from them jointly. But
nice.
That looked like a really beautiful wedding too, Scott.
It was crazy. We did it out of the salt flats, and it looks like another planet out there. I'll put something in Slack.
Nice.
You guys can see it, but
so you officiated it.
I officiated, and it was very small. It was just one set of parents for the groom side. My daughter is the photographer, and so she was running around doing stuff while I did the officiating, and then she took a bunch of pictures after. But as you can see in the pictures I put in Slack, it's like some weird planet. Actually, it's where the last
nice.
It was the Salt Planet in Star Wars, the last one. That's where they filmed it. Is right over there.
Wait, the last. What was the last Star Wars movie?
The Last Jedi with
Oh yes.
Ooh, that's cool.
Isn't that cool? It's just this gigantic, endless.
Because it looks like snow, but not.
Yeah, it's literally salt.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I've flown over that before.
Oh yeah, you'll see it. I guess
the general area.
Yeah, anytime you go east, you'll fly over that, and the lake is sort of near it.
That is really cool.
Crazy big prehistoric Mad Max looking.
There is a salt, and name is escaping me right now. A salt flat that looks a lot like this in Bolivia, which is a big tourist destination. Because it's. And I always was like, I gotta get there, but it's it's quite a trip. All I have to do is go to Utah.
Yeah, come on out. We'll get you hooked up.
The one place I want to visit in Utah, and no offense, Scott, but it's the one. It's the Goblin. Like I would buy. Was it Goblin Valley or whatever?
Goblin Valley.
That place is trippy.
Who you want to talk to? You've talked to. My brain just went dead. Who is it that's always on the show with you guys that loves all those places here?
Is it you?
No, it is kind of me. I can't think who it is.
Tom Merritt.
Is it Amtrekker? Is it Justin? No. Is it a regular?
Who used to do the show with Veronica, Techzilla? Why am I not?
Patrick Norton.
Patrick Norton. Gosh dang it. Anyway, Patrick Norton goes to all these places all the time. So every time I bring one of them up, he'll freak out.
Patrick Norton cannot be schooled on cool places. I've tried.
He is literally the 21st century embodiment of the road vagabond, except that he has a family.
Yeah.
And he lives somewhere.
That's true.
He just likes driving, which is a weird thing. Like, I hate driving. I'm at the age where self-driving cars can't come around fast enough because I'm over.
Yeah, I'm ready as well.
I like driving, but I work from home. So it's easy for me to say that because I don't have to get in my car every day. So I enjoy it. Commuting, I don't enjoy. And when I've commuted in the past, I've hated driving.
Yeah.
So,
I still enjoy driving, and I've got probably 300,000 miles of just driving.
Wow.
I really enjoy it.
I find that on a long road trip, so anything more than like 4 hours.
Yeah.
I'm excited. You know, you pack up, you got your snacks next to you, you know, you got your music, your podcast, whatever, maybe a dog in the back, family. And then after the first 2 to 3 hours, you're like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It always starts out good though.
Oh, it starts out great, but then you're achy and 5 hours.
Yeah, your butt hurts.
Yeah. Want to get out. Roger, put a picture of Goblin Valley in the Slack.
With all the technology in cars, why can't they make massage chairs?
Yeah.
You know?
They do have
you got lumbar support. Why don't you do a little rolling thing up and down like they do at the nail salon?
They have the one you can drape over it and plug into your lighter hole and make it do it.
That's true.
It's not as good.
Yeah.
Built in.
Aftermarket massage chairs.
Yeah, what is this?
What is this?
Lame.
Oh, I have to write up our.
Yeah.
In the nick of time.
Yeah.
All right.
Right. So if I'm talking, testing, input.
Do you need to back up record,
Testing.
Roger? Are you good?
Yeah, actually, if you want to, because
I don't mind.
for some reason, am having.
I don't mind. Just happening, just in
So
case.
checking right now. This is going in. This is going in. Oh, it would help if I put it in the right jack. All right. How's that one? Checking. Perfect. Perfect. Checking. Testing. Cool. All right. Now. Sorry, Discord. My setup that I thought was working wasn't working. I apologize. I'll make it up to you after the show. I'll share you all sorts of secrets about Tom that no one knows except me.
And for as far as the music, I don't know if your setup is any different than yesterday, but if I don't hear it, I'll just assume it's playing.
Yes. So Amos will be playing the music. So I guess we're ready to go.
Hold on. I got to write my hold open. Yeah.
Nope.
Oh, right. The T's.
Yeah. All these newfangled things we do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shoot. That's not good. All is well. All is well. A little Control Z never hurt anybody. I've got this thing I'm doing in my audio editing program, my DAW. And I don't know why I'm doing it because it's like a weird tick that I didn't have before. But because I Control S, Command S like every 5 seconds, you know. Right. But I'm commanding Z when I'm meaning to save.
Oh.
Which is, that's the easy one. That you just shift Command Z and it all goes back to normal. But I'm just like, stop it, Sarah. Oh my gosh. The Z and the S are in different places. You know this. What is wrong with you?
That's a fun habit to catch yourself doing. Let's see.
And then, let me know when you're good to go. And then Amos can start the music.
My background recording's happening now, so
cool.
If we need it, I got it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm also recording 2 copies, so
sweet.
We have
everyone's copying. That's how the world will work.
Well, I'm not because I can't figure out audio hijack. So thank you to everyone else.
It's all good. between the three of us will end up with something recorded.
Well, we can screw in the proverbial light bulb.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. All good.
And then give yourself like a 5-second count in.
All right. In 5, 4, 3, 2. Coming up on DTNS, unencrypted biometric data exposed. A lot of it. The FAA says no exploding batteries on our planes, and we'll check out on the good, the bad, and the ugly in AI. This is the Daily Tech News for Wednesday, August 14th, 2019. In Studio Feline, I'm Sarah Lane.
In Salt Lake City, I'm Scott Johnson.
And I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
Tom Merritt is out of town this week, but we're going to keep the show rolling for you. In fact, before the show, Scott was telling us all about the salt flats of Utah. Pretty cool looking. We talked, Roger gave me some tech advice. Some of it I understood, some of it I did not. And we talked a little bit about what we all had for lunch. So everybody's doing pretty good. And happy hump day to everybody. Let's start with a few tech things you should know. AT&T and T-Mobile began rolling out cross-network call authentication services to notify customers if a call that they receive from the carrier is from the number listed or a robocall. Yay! I hope this works well. The call authentication is based on the Shake and Stir protocol, and AT&T also announced plans to integrate the protocol into its free AT&T Call Protect service.
I started getting a call the other day, and it said, I don't have any apps installed or anything fancy going on, but it says this is probably a junk call or some of that effect. And I thought, I don't know what's happening, but keep that up.
Yeah.
And away it went. Hey, co-working startup WeWork submitted its S1 filing with the SEC with plans to go public. The company showed a $1.6 billion loss on $1.8 billion in revenue in 2018. The first half of 2019 showed a $904 million loss on $1.5 billion in revenue. The company has doubled both its desk and member numbers over the past year and now claims 604,000 desks and 527,000 members. It's a lot. With 40% of members working in enterprise, the company offers space at 528 locations across 111 cities in 29 countries.
Interesting, that enterprise number. I would not have thought of that, but I guess, you're working remotely. It's a nice place to work.
Yep.
Microsoft has patched 4 remote code execution flaws as part of the company's monthly patch Tuesday that could allow a malicious actor to remotely take over a Windows computer. So they're bad flaws. The 4 vulnerabilities affect all in-support versions of Windows through the Windows Remote Desktop Services, or RDS, component. But that's disabled by default in Windows 10. However, all users are urged to run security updates pronto.
Nice. Notoriously accurate Apple leaker CoinX claims that Apple's upcoming iPhone 11 will rename its flagship iPhone Max to the iPhone Pro. It's interesting. Calling it an iPhone Pro would better unify iPhones with the company's iPad Pro, Mac Pro, and MacBook Pro ranges. Apple is reportedly keeping its current 6.1-inch XR, 5.8-inch XS, and 6.5-inch Max form factors in the next iPhone release.
Interesting. I wonder if calling it Pro makes it easier to make it more expensive.
I think so.
Because you're a pro now. You got the Pro model.
It is synonymous in the company. You're going to pay more for it, even if you also might think, oh, it's more powerful, cool. But it also means higher price. So we'll see how people respond.
Yeah, again, just a rumor at this point, but comes from a source that has been correct in the past. All right, let's talk a little bit more about biometric data and how it might be a lot more vulnerable than you think. 1 million people's fingerprints, facial recognition information, unencrypted usernames and passwords, and personal information of employees was discovered on a publicly accessible database managed by Suprema in the UK. Now, Suprema's BioStar 2 biometrics lock system is used by the UK Metropolitan Police. It's used by defense contractors, by banks to secure facilities like warehouses or office buildings that need high security through fingerprints and facial recognition when anybody tries to enter. Now, last month, BioStar 2 and access control system AOS, that's spelled AEOS, AOS is used by 5,700 organizations in 83 countries, big company. They announced an integration with each other. Now, Israeli security researchers Noam Rotem and Ren Lokar, who work with VPN review service VPN Mentor, have a side project where they scan ports that might have familiar IP blocks, and then they use those blocks to find potential holes in company systems that could allow a future data breach. Well, guess whose database was unprotected and mostly encrypted and searchable by manipulating URL search criteria. BioStar 2. The researchers were able to not only access the database, but they could also change the data in the database. They could also add new users to the system. The issue has now been fixed, so says Suprema. And Suprema also tells The Guardian that the company will inform customers if it deems that there's an ongoing threat to security. That's bad.
It's really bad. Can I invoke the Tom voice real quick? Because
Please, I miss him already.
I hear him in my head right now saying, this is a sign that we are getting better at catching open problems quickly and efficiently. And that this is another example of that. It's easy to look at this and go, oh my gosh, an open database, anybody can search and find and whatever. And it's just simple vulnerability and all this. But at the end of the day, this is not malicious actors trying to dig around in there.
No.
They are now aware of it. They're going to fix it, or have fixed it according to them. I think it still bears scrutiny. I think they still need to sort of show their work and make sure people are comfortable with what they've done. But I feel like if the spirit of Tom is with us, and he would say, this is a good thing.
It is definitely a good thing that two researchers who again, they run as a project because they care about closing vulnerabilities in various corporate systems. You're right that this is a good thing. The fact that, and the researchers also went on to say, this is, it's not Suprema. It is in this case, but this is going on in a lot of places, and people need to be more aware and be able to close vulnerabilities that might be hanging around. What struck me the most is, okay, so if I'm trying to get into a high security warehouse of some kind, and I'm not supposed to be there, and I've been able to add my fingerprints to an employee's name through the system in the back end using the technique that the researchers used. Sure, I mean, I don't know how to do this, so I'm actually not somebody who could exploit this. But if you could, and if you could figure it out on a system that's similar to this, using very similar tactics, you could add yourself as an employee. I mean, it's the fact that it was publicly accessible, whether or not it ever was accessed publicly, is that's Mission Impossible stuff.
That's why they need to get follow-up. There needs to be a lot of follow-up on this. They have to be able to do right by everybody. They have to be able to show that they've closed all these windows. They have to do that, or else all this was for naught. And it should scare anyone who has their data in those databases. Simple as that.
Right.
Twitter has an announcement, and it's not that they're rolling back that terrible redesign. I wish it was. They have announced an upcoming feature that will allow users to follow topics in addition to following users. Right now, I can follow Sarah. Maybe soon I'll be able to follow a topic that Sarah cares about, or that maybe I care about. The feature is testing on Android with sports topics like MMA, Formula One, that kind of stuff. Initially, the curation will be handled manually, but the company will eventually use machine learning to populate topics and keep them up to date. Your mileage may vary there. Other features being developed include temporarily muting a topic to keep tweets out of your timeline, searchable direct messages, the ability to reorder the photos in a tweet after you've attached them to a new post. Well, that gets closer to an edit feature. And the company also plans to add support for Apple's live photos. So push them down, hold them, and you get a little short video that was surrounding the shot. Of all of these, the two things I'm most interested in is the edit and the rearranging of photos, because I screw that up all the time. And the ability to mute a topic. I'm not so worried about finding the stuff, because I feel like I kind of can do that now. The search feature is fairly robust on topics. If I'm looking for a certain keyword, I can find lots of stuff on it. The hashtags help, trending topics help, all that stuff helps. But I'm less worried about that, and more. I'm more interested in usability stuff. I wish the service was just more usable and less likely to give me a bunch of threads I don't care about, or say a friend of mine liked a tweet that I want nothing to do with. I hate that. And I don't want to unfollow my friend. I just don't want to follow the topic they're following. So being able to mute entire topics rather than the people who may be retweeting them or liking them or whatever they may be doing with them sounds very appealing in the current noise machine that is Twitter.
Yeah, following topics rather than just keywords is interesting to me. If it works well, this is actually something I'm pretty excited about. I never really got into making good, robust Twitter lists, even though that's been a feature since, very early days of the company. What I always thought is, okay, I'll have like regular Twitter, and then I'll have like DTNS Twitter, where I can just really focus on tech news journalists and people who provide information on Twitter that I find valuable. And I never really curated it well enough to use it regularly. So I kind of just sift through a bunch of noise in order to find news when I'm using Twitter for news. To be able to follow a topic, for example, we're going to talk about AI a little bit later in the show in some depth, just to kind of get a sense of, all right, who's talking about it? And if the probably follower count would be a metric, and retweets, and for whatever reason, if Twitter can surface kind of the way tech meme surfaces headlines, and gives credit to the story that it has the most engagement and it was also first. If Twitter could do that with a topic, wow, that would be such a great news gathering tool for me. I know not everybody uses Twitter for news, but hashtags work great, but people only use them if they feel like it. I rarely use hashtags because I'm like, I don't know, it's too official. I'm too cool for that now. So I think that Twitter is understanding the ways that people want to use the service. And if they could just let us edit our tweets, then I'd be really happy.
Oh, that's all I really want, guys. And you can make it work. There's ways to do it. You can have a little bottom that says this tweet has been edited. Whatever you got to do.
Yeah, that's what Facebook does. I'm not ashamed.
Right.
Sometimes I change my mind. I want to say something else or I misspelled something. Get on it, Twitter. Doing. All right, moving on to airplane travel. We all love that. The U.S. Federal Aviation Administration issued a statement saying that it was aware of the recalled batteries that are used in some Apple MacBook Pro laptops and had alerted major U.S. airlines about the recall. Okay. The FAA reminded airlines to follow 2016 safety instructions for goods with recalled batteries, which include that they should not be on any flights, either as cargo or in carry-on baggage. Not at all. Do not bring them on flights. The European Union Aviation Safety Agency issued a similar warning earlier this month, although those rules allow devices with recalled lithium-ion batteries on a plane. They just have to be switched off, never used during the flight. Airport staff and flight attendants back in the U.S. plan to start making announcements about the affected MacBook Pros at the gate and before takeoff. Although you're sitting in your seat and you got one with you, that's going to be an issue. And company websites will also note the ban as well. So if all works well, you're apparently supposed to know well ahead of your flight to leave that scary laptop at home. In 2016, Samsung's Note 7 was banned from U.S. flights due to a very real fire hazard. We all heard about that. Other recently recalled laptops may also be banned under the FAA's new rules, but Scott, I find it interesting that, and if I'm reading this correctly, it sounds like the FAA is saying, hey, airlines, you can't do this, remember. And the airlines are like, okay, we'll let people know at the very last minute. And hopefully they'll do their research before they leave the house with all their luggage packed. But it's on the passenger in the end, if anything goes wrong, because the passenger didn't pay enough attention.
I guess so, if something goes wrong. But the thing is, I think it's actually a bit of a freak out over nothing. A replacement battery shouldn't be scary. The original batteries, maybe. So there's that. But also, how do they know? How does even the TSA scan thing? Are they going to look and look at my sealed MacBook Pro? These are famous for not.
It's not the replacement batteries that are the issue. They're original recalled batteries that may not have been replaced yet.
Okay, in that case, same kind of thing though. Like if I haven't gone to Apple yet to replace the battery. Is Apple providing TSA and others with information that would help them during that scan to identify the battery and then make that determination at the point of scan? Because that's where it's going to happen. And I don't know how they do that. That seems crazy to me. It's a sealed laptop. And then what are they going to do? Hold these laptops? Like, I know I'm starting to feel like what it must have felt like for the pain of those Galaxy 7 Note owners. That must have been a nightmare. Because, if you didn't know about this or you hadn't been keeping up on it, they just straight up wouldn't let you on your flight, or they had to take your phone away. Right. This could get really bad. And I have a feeling that the airlines are like not jumping through hoops. They're just like, well, we'll make sure everybody knows at the last second. And hopefully that's enough. And they've all done their homework and we sort of put it on them. But at the end of the day, they don't really want to make too many waves about this because it's a huge hassle. And there are way too many MacBooks in circulation that fly everywhere around this country every day for them to want to shut everything down because everyone has a notebook. It's just kind of a mess.
I have a MacBook Pro that is within the parameters of the scary batteries. I'm lucky not to have an issue, although my display died about 6 months ago. But it's like, if I were to go through just to get to, I'm ready to board my flight. And for some reason, my laptop, and they're like, well, hold on a second. Is this a recalled? It's like, I can't imagine this being anything that could be even potentially seamless. I see a lot of laptops just getting on board anyway, because nobody really knows how to check. Yep. I mean, half the time people in TSA don't take their shoes off and get all out of sorts. So you can't expect them to be, I don't know how this gets enforced. I hope we're all very safe on flights, and I don't want any batteries to explode. And I understand why these regulations should be in place, but I just don't know how they get enforced.
Yeah, we'll see if they can figure it out. Sources tell Bloomberg that Facebook has been paying hundreds of outside contractors to transcribe clips of user audio. Facebook confirmed that it had been transcribing users' audio, but said it paused the practice last week and won't restart it. Users who were affected by by this can choose an option in Facebook's Messenger app to have their voice chats transcribed. Contractors were checking whether Facebook's artificial intelligence correctly interpreted the messages, which were anonymized, so nobody knows not supposed to know who they are. It's just text. The Irish Data Protection Commission says it's examining the activity for possible violations of the EU privacy laws. Once again, really what this is about is another thing Facebook did or is doing or once did that they didn't tell anybody about. And now they're getting called on it, and they're having to apologize again. And they just can't seem to get out in front of this stuff.
It's and the company isn't really apologizing. The company is like, oh, don't worry, we stopped that practice last week. Would we have heard about the practice otherwise? Probably not. It sounds like some independent contractors came forward and said, there's some really sensitive personal information in these transcriptions, from the audio messages that I, as a human, am listening to. No, I don't know who they are. I don't really know what this is for, but it was happening, and it was something that was affecting some portion of those hundreds of folks who are being paid to do it. And I kind of go, all right, well, Facebook's making its AI stronger. They want to make sure that they're checking it against, how a human would interpret a transcribed audio message versus a robot. I get that. So that on the surface is not that big a deal to me. But again, it's Facebook it really has a knack for people saying, whoa, this is crazy. And Facebook saying, oh yeah, we were doing that.
Well, yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. The problem isn't maybe not so much what they did or what they're doing, is that the company essentially appears tone deaf to complaints, because as each of these crop up, they will acknowledge it, but it never seems very contrite. It just seems more of a, oh yeah, we did that, as more of an afterthought. And
I think what you're looking at is a very long time where Facebook saw incredible amounts of data as experimental. And I don't mean like in nefarious ways. I think they just see it as, hey, we should test for this. Hey, maybe we could learn some from that. I think there was a lot of that thinking going on. And I just don't think they can do that anymore. I think they have to ask and look and talk and transparent everything these days. They're just too big. They affect too many lives. There are too many governments watching them. Like you just can't look at that pile of data like they used to and just say, hey, time for an experiment. Let's go. We got to really flesh it out, talk about the ethics, look and see where it may apply to certain, rules that you have to adhere to in certain countries. Like all that stuff's going to have to happen.
Yeah. I mean, on the user front, I don't really see that many people stopping using Facebook because of something like this, because if that were the case, people would have headed for the hills a long time ago. But when it comes to government regulation and clamping down on practices on that level, then yeah, it's something that Facebook can approach a lot of the stuff differently.
Yeah.
A senior unnamed surveillance officer reports that Huawei helped the governments of Uganda and Zambia spy on political opponents, including intercepting communications and tracking opponents' movements using cellular data. This is according to the Wall Street Journal. A representative for Zambia's ruling party confirmed that Huawei technicians did play a part in the fight against certain news sites, stating, whenever we want to track down perpetrators of fake news, we ask Zikta, which is the lead agency. They work with Huawei to ensure that people don't use our telecommunications space to spread fake news. Huawei has denied involvement, and that its own internal investigations show that the company that nor did its employees engage in alleged activities.
I mean, maybe not, but again, I feel like we're once again, because Huawei's name is on this. It's yeah. I mean,
well, Huawei's name is on it, and Huawei's also saying no, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So,
Who knew Zambia had such a big need for this sort of stuff to be controlled?
And well, I mean, I will stress, and to be kind of the merit voice in this, Huawei didn't do this, or at least the technicians, the alleged employees that did this, they did this at the behest of those governments, right? This wasn't Huawei secretly,
yes,
listening to
bringing
Parliament
information
or anything
back
like
into
that.
China or something,
or the Chinese government. This was the governments of Uganda and Zambia saying like, hey, these people are spreading misinformation, and we need, according to them, misinformation, and we need to find out who their contacts are and the rest of it. And so, I mean, you could definitely fault those particular employees on this, but I wouldn't paint it in this. There's no connection here, direct connection between Huawei executives or the Chinese government saying, aha, we're just going to use all this technology and spy on these governments in Africa because we can.
It would be good, though, if they had, I don't know what the method would be, but maybe these employees, just anytime any sort of government, anybody comes to you just have to call the home office and say, hey, guys, are we supposed to do this? And hopefully they say no, and then they document it. And then when this stuff comes out or it's a problem, you have your line of defense. We got Huawei's name gets drugged through this stuff so hard lately. I just feel like they missed an opportunity to be ahead of it on this one. And again, the employees goofed probably, or I don't know who you blame, but
yeah, I mean, I guess you could be a technician who technically works for Huawei, but it wasn't under, any sort of orders from your boss.
Right.
Yeah, that's a strange story. Well, and it's also because it's Huawei, people go, oh, here we go again. But yeah, this it seems an unrelated issue to a lot of the other reasons that Huawei is in the news as of late. Hey, everybody, to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. So let's talk about fear, everybody. Who's into it?
I'm into it.
Good. AWS has added fear to the range of emotions identified by its Amazon Recognition Facial Analysis Service, which is controversial. We've talked about it on the show. Fear joins other identifiable emotions that recognition already has, like happy or sad or angry or surprised or disgusted or confused. There are a lot of them. It's an emotion that you can sometimes read on someone's face, like lots of emotions. It also improved age range estimation accuracy. You think, okay, that seems like it would be helpful as well. Well, there are a lot of critics speaking out against this. AWS is a major U.S. government contractor. That's part of the controversy. Now, Corey Quinn, he's an author. He writes the This Week in AWS newsletter, tweeted angrily, AWS comes under fire for recognition sales to the federal government, who in turn build concentration camps for children, and AWS is response to improve age range estimation and fear detection in the service. And then he added some expletives. Now, of course, keep the political conversation out of this, but I think what they're getting at is that while some emotions seem helpful and seem appropriate for this kind of technology, if it was used completely above board and was designed to help people, makes sense. Fear does not.
Do you feel like fear's a loaded word, right? It's more loaded than sad, angry, disgusted, or confused, which are the other sort of negative emotions they have here. Happy, calm, nobody's worried about those.
Right. And even angry, right? It's like we all know the angry emoticon. I use it on Facebook constantly when someone's like, hey, this horrible thing happened. And you go, ooh, I'm angry for you. Mm-hmm. I think the idea that, okay, if sort of widespread facial recognition technology is designed to be able to pick up fear among a variety of ages, a variety of people, it's kind of like, okay, well, what is the situation involved? Because most of the time it's going to be something pretty bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to think what you would need to recognize fear for.
Well, perhaps people in compromised situations, and yeah, I mean, there's lots of disturbing ideas that I can come up with. And I guess it's an emotion that, I don't know, I feel like it's relevant. It's something that if the facial recognition is able to pick that up, then again, on the surface, I'm not sure why it's a bad idea. I guess it's just, once implemented, you're almost always going to be, I mean, unless you're like, oh, let's scan a bunch of people on a roller coaster to see if they're scared. Well, that's not how it would be used. It would be used for something that's a lot heavier than that.
It's also interesting if they came to this whole thing. Let's say today's article or today's news was AWS has facial recognition. It can recognize emotions such as happy, sad, angry, surprised, fear, disgusted, calm, and confused. And it's gotten better with age ranges. Everybody would gloss over it. There's something about the fact that they're adding fear to it that's pissing people off. It's not that if it was already there where you just said a range of human emotions, fear is one of them. I don't think anybody says anything. I think the fact that they're adding it is the part people are getting caught off guard by. And they're thinking of the implications of it. Like,
sure,
if you're using fear to help people, it makes sense. If you're using fear to see if the thing you're doing is scary enough and it's not working and you want to generate more fear, this would be a tool to help you gauge how much fear you're causing. Well, then you can get into some pretty dark stuff. But in my mind, it's almost like just a weird juxtaposition of fear not being there in the first place. It had always been in these set of normal human emotions. I don't know that anybody would be calling it out this way.
Yeah, well, in much different AI technology, we've talked on the show about Elon Musk's Neuralink initiative, the project to make us sort of half human, half robot, or partly robot anyway. Ars Technica has a really, really good write-up on how this sort of thing might actually work by being surgically implanted into our brains. And we can't get into all the details, but definitely read the article for a lot more in-depth details about how this would work, because it's pretty involved. But they kind of checked in on the status of Neuralink, and the plan is to access the brain in a hole, a small, teeny hole less than 8 millimeters across, and then implant a small chip and some wiring into the brain. The chip would be drawing power and communicate with wireless hardware, perhaps put behind your ear. And the point would be to get raw readings of neural activity and also be able to stimulate neural activity, process them, and then use wireless hardware to transmit back into the skull. Electrical impulses can be taken advantage of, neurons in the brain, electrodes that stimulate brain activity. All of this stuff is, it's highly conceptual, but we're learning a little bit more about how Neuralink might plan to implement this. Now, a robot surgeon would be providing the robot surgeon would be actually putting the chip into brains, for precision.
Right.
But a human surgeon would actually be like, okay, now you're going to do this, now you're going to do this. So the human surgeon is really flying the plane, so to speak. And it sounds like existing systems, they're not quite there yet. Electrodes have their own hardware. Neuralink wants to change this, and there's quite a bit of work yet to be done. But I was thinking, Scott, I mean, just on it, because I was thinking like, ooh, robot surgeon, like, is that going to freak anybody out? And I'm like, nah, actually, there seems to, they're not going to have shaky hands, the way a surgeon might if they have too much coffee before they put a chip into my brain. But what if, as a surgeon, I get a chip put into my brain to make me more precise as a surgeon? That would be cool.
That would be pretty cool. I wonder what that would be. Some kind of, I don't know, nervous system control that would keep your hands rigid, steady, and that sort of thing. Yeah,
you just run some sort of a program where I'm like, beep, 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 beep. Like the robot part of me is like the precise part.
Yeah.
Thinking of real world scenarios where something like this, and again, there's so much research to be done. We're talking far off stuff, but real world situations, I keep thinking of good examples.
Amazon AWS will not sense any fear from me from these implants. I look forward to this. I want this. I'm ready for it. I want it to be good and right and done and, safe as possible and all of those things. Don't get me wrong, but I am ready for this kind of hookup, and I'm ready for it yesterday. So hurry up, Elon Musk, and your weird idea. I await you patiently.
Thanks everybody who participates in our subreddit. That was one of the stories that I got today from y'all. You're the best. Submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. We're also on Facebook. Join our group, facebook.com/groups/dailytechnewsshow. Scott Johnson, you are just the best. Thanks for being with us today, and let folks know where they can keep up with what you're going to do the rest of the week.
Well, there's always something going on, and you can find all my shows. It's in it's live schedule when the podcasts come out, all the art stuff that has been happening, my new card game that's coming out. All that stuff can be found at frogpants.com. And if that's not enough for you, and maybe it won't be, you can follow me on Twitter at Scott Johnson.
We love our patrons. Scott's the best, but you're the extra best. Thanks so much for supporting the show. As a patron, you get all sorts of cool perks. As a member, you get ad-free RSS feeds. You get special episodes, behind-the-scenes stuff, newsletters, all sorts of updates from us, and some special kind of look back at the tech of yesteryear. The list goes on. Patreon.com/DTNS. If you're not a member, consider joining our group today. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're live Monday through Friday. If you can join us live, well, we're happy to have you. 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 20:30 UTC is the time, and you can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live. Back tomorrow. Justin Robert Young will join us. See you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Nicely done.
Well, you too.
Well done, everybody.
It's funny when I'm glad that I did headlines in a way, because I was positive it was August 14th today, because when I went into headlines to see what we could use as like cross stuff for the show and there wasn't one, I was like, wait a second, what's going on? I'm in the Twilight Zone right now. So our show said the 15th, and I was like, August 14th.
Did I put 15th in there?
You did, but it's okay, because I was like, I didn't doubt myself for a second, because I had already done that already for like an hour this morning.
You know what happens is I look at the bottom, even though I generate the tab, I see 14th, and I automatically add the next day, because for some reason it's like, my weakness.
I mean, I have many weaknesses. You know, so I was complaining about my little desk clamp for my mic earlier that is falling apart, and not really the sort of thing you can super glue, because I'm a real big fan of super gluing anything, because it has to be adjustable. So if I super glue it, then I lose all of the. I actually do adjust it quite a bit. I'll just buy another one, but I had never realized how good my pop screen is. Because when I did headlines this morning, it had just crapped out on me, and so I was kind of talking from an angle, and boy, did those peas pop!
Oh yeah, those peas, for sure.
So, yeah, I was a pea popper.
I gotta get a new arm too. This thing is starting to jank apart.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I love the floor stand would work too. It's lots of options, but I really, my desk has a great little area that it can just clamp onto, and it's like easy adjustable, and big fan.
Well, I know a thing I want to do, but there's no way I'm going to do it, because I know I don't have the knowledge or the patience, but I want to do something suspended from the ceiling. That's what I really want.
For a mic.
Yeah, so I can pull it down, move it away. And I even built the ceiling in here to be modular like that, but I just, it sounds like work. I don't want to do it.
What do you mean modular?
I made, so the ceiling is this corrugated aluminum stuff.
Oh,
We did it for a number of reasons. One was cost, but also part of it is you can take pieces of it out in sections and do work up in there if you want, run cabling, whatever. And you can also drill holes in any of it. So for a mic, like a mic arm or a camera drop or any of that, it'd be a piece of cake to do it.
Yeah.
Everyone but me, because I don't know how to cut metal and I suck at this sort of thing. But
metal cutter.
Super glue.
That's it.
Well, you know what's better than super glue?
What?
The title for today's episode.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't know where to go to dtns.showbot.tv.
Thank you, Roger.
Or gdi.showbot.tv if you want the good.
Yeah, we got 2 titles. Let's start with DTNS.
Top of the list right now is Bio Breach. Please change your fingerprint. Car seat massage. Fear is the marketplace. Twitter is an unusable firehouse. Twitter is an usable firehouse.
They said "and," but you would say "a."
Yeah, is a usable firehouse.
It's one
firehouse or fire hose.
Maybe fire
probably means fire hose. Yes. I don't think it's a firehouse ever.
No, it's never a firehouse.
Although you could follow the firehouse topics. Yeah, I suppose.
Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Facebook knows the difference. Or is that Amazon?
Well,
what's up with your face? Amazon can sense fear. Bad flaws. Can you guess my age, Amazon?
Wait, was one of them "What's up with your face"? That's pretty good.
What's up with your face?
Yeah,
sure.
It actually applies to several stories on the show today.
Yeah,
what's up with your face? Selected.
Like great.
Thanks, Peggy.
Yeah. Thanks to everybody who submitted. Very creative title.
And then let me see.
Let's hop over to GDI here.
What do you got on?
We got Salty Scott.
Yeah, nobody wants Salty Scott.
Salty Scott is it suggests that Scott is being
salty, and I'm not.
Or catty.
Yeah, my shoes are salty.
Yeah.
I have salty shoes because of walking out there in the salt. But
yeah.
But no.
How about Scott gets assaulted?
Ooh, but wait, he didn't get assaulted though.
No.
Well, it's A-salted.
Yeah, A-salted Scott. A-salted Scott.
Two peanuts were walking down the road. One was assaulted.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's from Monty Python.
Yeah.
From the episode of The Funniest Joke in the World.
Yeah, I remember that. I'm with you.
Well, Scott gets assaulted is fine unless I just don't want anyone to be like, what horrible thing happened to Scott?
Oh, no. Yeah, that's a good point.
But it would only seem that way said audio-wise, though. Like,
true.
Reading it is clearly not.
True.
Yeah.
So let me see. What else we got? Those peas pop.
Better than super
glue.
Nothing's better than super glue, you guys. That's a trick question.
It is. And at least, I'm not sure if the history is apocryphal, but originally it was designed as a medical
so like for cuts and
like you're in the field or something, you could cut like instead of trying to suture yourself, which is sure. I know it was done in Rambo First Blood, but most people don't have that skill or the patience.
No.
And you can just
or the pain
tolerance.
The other one they tell you to use, you can use duct tape. Duct tape your skin flat.
Duct tape
closed.
your that gaping wound.
Yeah.
Duct tape the arm
don't
back
even
on.
bother, because then you're gonna have to take the duct tape off. Super glue it. It's great. Actually, I don't know if the super glue just kind of goes away as the skin regenerates.
No, it goes
I don't
away
know
as
how
you
that works. As you sweat? Oh, okay.
Slowly. I once had residual super glue on my fingertips, and I did this, and it's like, oh my god, I can't get my fingertips apart, and I'm going to be doing this like this thing for the rest of my life. Eventually,
I super glued my hands together the other day, or my fingers together the other day.
And when you start sweating, you worry about it. It eventually comes undone.
I just pulled it apart, and it hurt.
Better than super glue. How's that?
Great.
And better than super glue.
From Anna I don't want to mispronounce.
From Anna Krakatow.
Krakatow.
I think that's Anna K. Krakatow. Whatever your name is, it's cool. That's for sure. Thanks, crocodile. Anna. Or Anak. Who knows? It's like a license plate sometimes. Usernames, you're like, could be said a lot of different ways.
Let me see. Oh, we want to thank Matt Black Cube for subscribing with Twitch Prime.
Yes, we do. Thank you.
Oh, yes. In my I think that was it so far. Thank you so much. I was going to share a deep secret about Tom.
You were?
Was I?
I don't know. Were you?
Tom,
If you were, this is the first time we're hearing about it, but let's hear it.
Yeah.
This is new.
Wait,
Yeah.
Tom has secrets.
Well, I don't have any. So I'm trying
Tom
to
doesn't
think
have any secrets. They're all under his desk.
Yeah, but that's not really a secret. That's more of his past. That's kind of.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I mean, if I went
current
under his
secret.
desk, and I pulled out like an East German handbook on how to like spy, I might raise some red flags. But I don't think he has anything like that. Like if I were to pull anything off my desk, it would be like this little dish or this little tweet egg that my daughter left here. I also have several cans of mixed fruit on my desk.
Nice.
Several cans of mixed
I
fruit,
have
just
6.
because if you're just super hungry.
No, they're holding up my speakers. I don't have speaker stands. So.
Oh, got it. Okay, they're mixed use cans.
Yes, they were.
Got it.
They were. If I add them all together, $6 each. $12 worth of cans to hold up my speakers.
Wow.
I like it.
Roger, I will see your squeaky tweet egg and raise you an alligator that converts to a hippo.
Ooh, a hippo gator.
Yeah, I think it's
Is
a
that
hippo.
is that a very common Alaskan treat or toy?
I don't even know where my daughter got him, and she brought him in here one day, and she left him, and I just put him on my computer, and they've been here for about a year now. I got that one, and I got a dog, a blue dog that switches over to a pink bear.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I don't know, but yeah, kids are fun.
I want to draw a hippo gator.
Hippo gator.
Maybe I will. Maybe I will.
I mean, like if you could draw any, what is typically your most favorite subject matter to draw? Is it
Really surrealistic stuff that's not I like to get weird. That's my favorite thing to draw. I like to draw weird stuff.
yeah. So you like to get your freak on, sort of.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. Like, I get really inspired by sci-fi and fantasy and that sort of stuff. But
Yeah. So when you say like, do you mean like Salvador Dali, like kind of?
I mean, I loved his work. I love Geiger. I love, but then I like guys like Mort Drucker in Mad Magazine, which was just mostly caricature work, but it's the best ever. And
Yeah, no, he did like I always used to be amazed because it would be
it's nobody.
he crank it out on a monthly basis. That's a pretty fast turnaround time.
No, he was a machine. I mean, he's still alive, but he's well past his prime. But he was amazing.
You're well past your prime, but I loved your work.
Yeah, I loved your work. I mean, you're in your late 80s, but you're awesome, or maybe early 90s, I think. But he was the best.
I was looking at eye masks, that you would like wear to sleep just to, black out a room without having to black out the room. And just, I don't know, it's just something I was doing. And I've gotten to the point now where I'm trying to find something that the Wirecutter has not reviewed and is not recommending the best of to me. I was like, eye mask. They didn't get it into eye masks yet. Yes, they did. They did in 2017.
Yep.
No, I'm not.
Oh, wow.
And their
They have
pick is
everything.
$12 at Amazon, so I'm gonna get it.
How do they
How
do
baby
that?
and kid.
Well, I mean, they got a team now, but again, when did the New York Times buy them? I think it was
3 years
2017.
ago?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
3
sounds about right.
About then.
Yeah, but I mean, it was started out as a fairly small operation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it started out in Hawaii. It was what's his name, Brian Lamb.
Brian Lamb. Well, I think he lived in San Francisco still at the time,
Oh, okay.
but has since moved to Hawaii. Yes, and there's quite an operation here, but I love.
That's your. Budget.
It's so overly in depth. Some things you want them to be overly in depth on, and other things, it's like, wow, there's a whole sleep mask category here.
I definitely use them as a place to start with reducing my potential list, but whether or not I actually go with one of their picks is 50-50. If I know more about the topic than they do, then I was like, all right, well, you just narrowed the field, then I'll look for these.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, they do that. But I feel like they're nothing. It feels like in a time where the internet is less and less good, reliable information on any topic of any kind, I really value what they do because I feel like I'm getting the most non-biased, most thorough look at things like eye masks.
Right. Well, and I think that, and I'm very guilty of this sometimes when I'm looking at, a product that maybe I haven't had before, or a category I haven't had before, or I'm not so much of an expert. I tend to be like, oh, the expensive one is probably the best one,
Which is not.
No, absolutely not. And not that I'm always just buying the expensive one of everything, but in my head, I'm like, oh, that company's like the coolest one. And I like how the Wirecutter will be like, here's our pick. If you have a little bit more money, this one's also very nice. Or here's our runner-up, which is, this is why we docked it, but we're also recommending it. And then there's nothing on the site that they do not recommend. So I feel like it saves me a lot of time.
I agree. I like that about them. I feel like there aren't very many places like that anymore. So I value it.
And Sarah, my wife just recently bought eye masks very similar to this. I don't know if it's this exact one.
Oh, really?
And I can attest that it works really well.
Yeah, because it's funny because I actually don't. Some people need just a super dark room in order to sleep. I don't really have a problem with the sun going. I don't even close my blinds because I'm up high enough. Nobody can see in. Yeah. But with any luck, nobody can. But that's not really the problem. But I like the feeling of it. Mm-hmm. It's sort of like sleeping with earplugs sometimes. You just feel tucked in. Mm-hmm. So and traveling too. That's when I actually do want it to be dark. The person in the window seat refuses to close the shade.
Yeah.
Instead of scowling for 6 hours, I'll just put my eye mask on.
Some airlines actually just make close the shade. They'll come up to you like, "Oh, can you please close the shade?"
Do they do that? I didn't know that.
Well, they did when I left it open. They came over and asked me to close it.
It's just you, Roger.
Yeah. What time was it?
It was night. Or no, night. It was dawn because we were coming to.
Oh, and they didn't want. Yeah. Well, they probably get so many complaints that they just do that. I also feel like
the ride was pretty rough.
It can be very annoying, especially not so much if I want to sleep, but if like the light is hitting my laptop and I can't really see. Then I'm like, I wish they would just close the shade. Yeah. But I always tell myself, what if it's the first plane ride this person's ever taken? Like, I want them to look out the window. I'd rather just deal with it and find solutions rather than make them
what they
do what
need
I
are
want.
shades that are kind of like not Dutch, but they close from either side, like vertically, and so you can kind of narrow it so they can still peek out.
No,
but it
Sarah,
wouldn't necessarily blind everyone.
Sarah, what do you think about the people that leave their blind open and then go to sleep and they're sleeping with the blind open? With the window
That's when you
then I stretch right over and shut it. Yeah, that is not a problem.
That's the one that always gets me.
And that's happened sometimes where I'll maybe lightly brush them, and then they kind of wake up and look at me like I've done something bad, or I'm like, dude, you were asleep. You don't get a window if you're just gonna sleep through it.
You're like, give me your pillow.
Look out that window, or we're closing it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one reason I don't like being on planes for a long time is people fall asleep. And it sucks, especially if you're in the middle or the window aisle and you need to get out, especially in a 14-hour flight. You're going to have to get up and, empty out the bladder.
That's why I like aisle seats.
Well, I couldn't get one. And so I ended up just climbing over everyone. And then I had to wake them up. It's like, wait, how did you get around? It's like, that's not important. Let me in.
In certain economy plus, I'm not flying a lot of business class, but in certain economy plus, because I'm small, I can actually get over people without touching them. It's sort of a combination of shimmy and jumping, but it can be done.
I wish they would just go back and give us a little more leg room. I understand that the margins on airline traffic are pretty thin, but people need to have some level of comfort when you're sitting.
Dude, you're talking to choir. I'm 6'3". It's the nightmare every time I get on a plane. I hate it.
Yeah, I really do. It sucks because some people are like, oh, the person reclined in front of me, I'm just annoyed. That's me. I'm just annoyed.
Right.
Yeah.
But nothing really changes. It might make my laptop situation a little bit tighter, but it's I'll just recline also, right? And then the person behind me hates me. But yeah, you got long Scott Johnson legs. It's you actually can't.
Yeah.
Johnson
you're
legs.
going to hurt me.
Yeah.
What if they made airlines the seats instead of just being seats, they were like bunks, like on a ship, and you just have three on and they would be all alongside the
You just lay there.
You just lay there. I would rather be in that position for
Me
14
too.
hours than sitting up.
Absolutely, and you could
roll out. You would have to
in-flight entertainment. You just lay on your back.
Yeah.
Look at it.
And plenty. You would have more aisle space. Maybe have some in the middle. I mean, the only thing that would be difficult would be eating. But you just give everyone one of those fruit bars or snack bars.
They don't give you food anymore anyway. So
yeah.
And I can tell you that flying.
Well, or you just lay on your side and you eat in bed. It could make it kind of fun.
Flying overseas.
This is a thing I'm not allowed to do at home.
Yeah, flying overseas on a cargo jet and being able to lay on the floor for a 12-hour flight, it's not bad. I'm not going to argue with it. It's the best
don't
way
they have
fly.
to secure you? Like, do they put straps on you or something?
Once you take off, the flight engineer doesn't care until it's time to land.
It's like, listen, you're not my responsibility unless the back opens up and you fly out.
That is the problem. Then we got a problem. Then we got to turn around really fast.
Not my wheelhouse. Air Force picked you. You should have enough common sense to save your own life.
I mean, again, exactly. This is a small person thing that probably a lot of people don't take advantage of. But I've been on transatlantic flights, like 12-hour flight, where if I have 3 seats across, I can lay down. And if I can lay down, I can sleep. It's not comfortable, but I can sleep. I can't sleep sitting up. So it's like, just give me 3 seats, and depending on the flight, sometimes you get it.
Airlines and travel. I'm just putting in notes for Amos so he knows what that.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's
Scott, I keep trying to think of your mic from the ceiling solution. I mean, they've got TV mounts that attach to ceilings.
Yeah, but they require them to be flat. These are corrugated.
I see.
Like a.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do it. I mean, I've drilled holes for lighting and stuff, so I know it wouldn't be hard to put like a thing in there. But then it means if I ever moved the setup, I'd have to put them. I don't know. I'm bad at that kind of planning. Need someone else to do it.
Well, and you would do that just to give yourself a little bit more space.
Yeah, and also just have more control over where the mic goes. Like right now, I jump between 2 systems for different streaming setups, and the mic, I turn the mic and that's fine. But what I'd really like to do is like drag it over and not have it be obstructed by stuff behind the desk. And
yeah.
I don't know.
That would be ideal.
Now, how tall are your ceilings down there?
Let's see. What are these? 10?
So standard size?
10 or 12 maybe? I think 10.
Oh, well, that's pretty high.
Yeah, that's pretty high.
Yeah.
So I could have a lot of leeway. I mean, I could really put anything up there I want. It's just I'm no good at that kind of stuff. That's the whole reason we did it this way too, so I'd have those options. But I'm just not good at it.
So what it comes down to is
don't call me. I'm not going to build anything cool to save us.
It's not about the setup. It's about the incompetence.
Yeah, it's a good point.
I was asking a friend, speaking of TV mounts, I was asking a friend about mounting a TV that can be rotated like 90 degrees in either direction. Because right now I just have a flat one, and I don't know, I'm just thinking about more, being able to like watch TV from my kitchen, for example, that kind of thing. And he was like, yeah, Sarah, just there, because he has one. It looks really good, works really well. He was like, just consider having, bringing someone in to do it professionally, just because, it's kind of, they can be, the precision is really important. And I was like, oh, were you under the impression that I'm the kind of person who would do that myself? I'm not installing a TV mount into my wall. Like, that would be mayhem, and it would end in tears. There's just no way.
A lot of holes in the wall.
Yeah, I'm not. There are a lot of things. I'm a DIY person when I know I can handle it. That's not one of those things. Even if I did it pretty good, my TV would be off center or at an angle, and it's just not happening.
No.
Yeah, I don't really like wall mounts because, I mean, part of it is you got to drill some pretty.
Yeah, you mess up the wall. Yeah, there's no way around that.
You got to drill into studs, and you got to drill them all the way through to hold it.
I've had hanging TVs for so many years that I have my main TV. I've got the legs if I wanted to put it back on top of a table. but
No, I haven't,
I'm just
yeah.
so used to it, and it does give it a better, a thinner profile, a shallower profile.
I have not a wall mount, but it's a stand that I have against the wall, and I hang it on that. Of course, the danger is during an earthquake, I'll fall forward, but I have a pretty heavy entertainment system in front of that, so hopefully,
You know what you could do? Super glue it.
I could, or I could just anchor it to the wall. In that case, I might as well just get a wall mount. I did buy a wall mount. The problem is, once it's there, you kind of don't want to move it. As you know what I mean? Like if you move furniture around.
I think in my entire house, all of our TVs are wall mounted except for the main one in the living room, and we're about to switch living rooms, and then it'll be wall mounted over the fireplace. So I've had my fair
share. How are you
share.
going to wall mount it over the fireplace?
It's a gas fireplace, so it's normal walls above
There's no
it.
chimney.
Yeah, the chimney is basically just a little flue going out the side of the house. Yeah.
Yeah, no, my chimney has brick in it. I don't think it's like, how am I gonna?
Yeah, I mean you can, but it makes it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
Whereas mine, the section above the fireplace is actually already like the studs are in the right place to put a TV. So we just don't use that room as a living room right now.
I like the TV above the fireplace look, as long as it's not too high. I guess you could angle it down in that case.
Well, if you got one of those that kind of what you want, where it comes out and you can angle it and you can rotate it, I mean, you could just adjust it to when you watch it, and then when you're done, you just sort of slide
put it back in place. Yeah, I guess it would depend. So many people have gas fireplaces now rather than the old school one, because it's like you wouldn't want it to get too hot in the wrong place if a fire was blazing.
My fireplaces are both. They accept your standard log, wood logs, and it has a gas line to it too.
Do you use it for either? I mean, we're in LA. It's like
during the winter, maybe, but then you're stuck in a room instead of just leaving the heater on and around the house.
I don't have anything but just forced air for heat. I mean, LA is not that cold, obviously, but we had some chilly days, chilly nights over this winter where I definitely had the heat on.
Fahrenheit. I mean, not freezing by anyone stretch.
No, but I mean, you're getting in 30s. It's cold.
Definitely. I guess we'll end it here so we can have time to post the show. Thank you so much for listening. Final words for anyone?
I want the internet to have a really good day.
Yep. Watch out where the Huskies go and never eat the yellow snow. That's my recommendation.
And if you do, make sure it's like lemonade or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a way to make sure before you actually taste it, so I'm just going to leave that one alone.
Yeah, just it's a 100% stay back.
Just put it down as a life experience and move on. And on that note, have a good day.
Have a good day.